In a stunning upset, activist and nurse Cori Bush unseated Congressman Lacy Clay Jr., whose family has represented the St. Louis area congressional district for more than 50 years. The Justice Democrat made her second run this cycle, battled pneumonia on the campaign trail, was hospitalized twice, but still captured 49% of the vote in Missouri's primary.
Cori Bush joins us now to discuss her victory and what her top priorities would be in Washington. Welcome, Cori. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back.
First question, just right off the bat, what the heck happened? How did you guys manage to pull this off?
Look, I'm still trying to figure it out. We just kept working. I mean, we worked every single thing we could think of, and we tried to build upon everything that we started a couple years ago. I kept working. Now, that's the thing. I never stopped working in the community. I took a few months off, and then I went right back to work. So everything that I was doing running for office, I continued on in, and we made sure that the people knew that we were here and that we're available and that we are the people we serve.
And what will your priorities be? Look, you still have to get through the general election, but it's a very blue district. People expect you to be able to win the race. What will your immediate priorities be here in Washington as we face, economic devastation, as we face health devastation, as we face a national reckoning on race relations? What are some of the things you'll be focused on?
Yeah, so first would be COVID-19 relief. Definitely supporting what's already been, what people have already been talking about, like the $2,000 universal basic income, that would be retroactive to last one full year, people 16 years and up. Also, making sure there's a sure moratorium on evictions and canceling shutoffs. And then that $2,000 a month, even though everyone would receive that, it wouldn't stop the social programs. It wouldn't take money away from that. I'm talking about putting more money into social programs because people are going to have to get on their feet. People are still being laid off and furloughed. Another thing is reinvesting in public education, but starting it from a place of, we have schools that are trying to figure it out. Are we in school? Are we a hybrid? Are we doing just online? And then how are our students supposed to adjust? So many schools, when COVID-19 hit, did not have the resources to be able to even give all their students Chromebooks. So we have to look at the dynamics in these different school districts.
One question I have is you just mentioned putting more money into social programs, and I think what we're seeing happen around the country is incompetence at almost every level of government, from the federal level to the state level to the local level. So how do you ensure that when we pour a lot more money into social programs, as you propose, that it actually gets to the people that need it, when we've seen so much incompetence in the government in terms of delivering that money to the people who need it?
Yeah, I think one way is that part of the funding has to go towards the oversight. It has to go to the management. So you build that, and you build that with accountable groups, making sure that they are able to have that actual oversight in those communities, over those groups, over those boards, or whatever it is, to make sure that the money is going directly to the people. I'll say this: I am someone who knows very well what it's like to have money pouring in to something, and then only the people that people think should be receiving the money get the money, and the people that are actually in need or actually doing the work aren't getting the money. So that's something that I will be focused on. It's just going to depend on what exactly it is, but I just say that you have to put money into oversight.
Yeah, absolutely right. Cori, one of the things that we talked about here is the fact that your profile is so unique in terms of Congress. It's very common in terms of the people of the United States. I mean, you're working class, you're a nurse, you've faced eviction and homelessness before, you've been uninsured, you were hospitalized, you had to worry about what those bills are going to be like while you're hospitalized for coronavirus and pneumonia. How does that fact that you have shared those struggles of your community, how did that impact your campaign, and how will it change the way that you govern in this town? Because as you know, most of your colleagues here, they're millionaires, right? They may have studied the struggles of the working class, but it's been a long time since they actually lived it. Why does that piece make a difference?
So people were able to relate to me. They didn't see me as somebody who's, way up here and can't understand their struggles. What I was able to relate and how I was able to connect with people, it was So yesterday, this was happening to me. It was last year I remember having my own shut off. And this is what happened. Crystal, I can still right now remember every single bit of pain that I've gone through, struggling, paycheck to paycheck. I remember what it felt like when my face hit the ground when I was being assaulted by police officers. I remember, how I felt after that, the sexual assault that I went through and I couldn't get justice. I remember all of those things. And so that fuels me and that pushes me into doing more. And I'm loud and I don't mind being vulnerable. I will be vulnerable for my community to make sure that nobody else goes through the things that I've gone through. And so if that means people, say what they want to say about me, but I will deliver for my people. That's why they're sending me to Congress.
One of the most interesting parts of your background is your faith. And I'm so curious as to how important you think that was to your candidacy. And in general, how authentic progressives can use faith as a way to reach people. What space is there for that in the Democratic Party right now?
It's a love of people. I just love humanity. So that's where my faith is. If I can make sure that every single person that meets me, comes in contact with me, if I walk past you, I just want you to know that you are loved. And because this is the thing, if I love you, then I care if the police murder you. If I love you, I care that you eat. I care that you have safe housing. I care that you have clean water. If I love you, I care that you have a quality of life that's better than what you have now if I love you. And so with that, people in Congress may not understand it, but they'll start to see it when they see that things are changing in my district, and we get back to this place of just respecting and honoring people, all people.
I don't want to relive the battles of the past, but I do think that there are some really interesting dynamics that unfolded on your race. First of all, Lacy Clay Jr. ran a very aggressive, some might say vicious, campaign against you. He accused groups like the Justice Democrats of targeting Congressional Black Caucus members in a racist way. Can you respond to that charge? And also, look, there was a dynamic with AOC and Joe Crowley where it was like, okay, well, you've got a diverse district and you've got a young woman of color, and they kicked out the old white guy. Same thing with Jamal Bowman. You've got, a young guy, an African-American man who's kicking out the old white guy. Very different dynamic in your district. Can you talk about what that means and what the message is that sends and why it matters?
Yeah, so one thing about it, I did not, Justice Democrats did not come out and seek me to go up against a CBC member. My community nominated me to the Justice Democrats, and then they chose me as their very first candidate. The reason why I was running against Congressman Clay is because we have so many needs. We are struggling so much. So many things that shouldn't be happening in our community, are still happening. It's been happening for so long. And, I don't care what your color is. I don't care if you identify, gender-wise, this way or that way, who you love. I don't care about any of that. Are you bringing home change to our communities? Are our people benefiting from your relationships and the work that you've been doing? And if not, we need to switch that out, because if people are benefiting, if I'm able to make change in my community and I'm doing it for free just because I'm putting my feet to the ground, because I'm using my mouth and my hands to touch each and every person as best I can, then why can't somebody being paid to do the job? And after 20 years, you mean to tell me we can't do any better? So that's the message. The message is, change can happen if we have people in those seats that want to see change. We have to be willing to push it. We have to be willing to fight for it and advocate. Time out for trying to be popular and be seen and, all of that. No, do the work.
Cori Bush, congratulations again. So great to have you back on the program. Look forward to many future conversations as well.
Thank you.
Coming up, Team Rising is going to be in the virtual house. Estuardo Rodriguez and Marsha Kosloff on all the new Biden media fun and how Trump's numbers might actually be stabilizing. Our panel is next.